The secret art of telepathic connection between soulmates. Have you ever thought about someone only to receive a message from them moments later? Have you ever felt an unexplainable pull toward a person, even when they were far away? Perhaps a memory suddenly entered your mind, a familiar feeling appeared in your heart, or you experienced a deep sense that someone important was thinking about you. These moments can feel mysterious, almost as if an invisible thread exists between two souls. And perhaps the greatest secret is not about controlling another person's mind or forcing a connection to happen. The real secret begins within you. The idea of a telepathic connection between soulmates is often described as a bond that seems to go beyond ordinary communication. Two people may understand each other without saying everything aloud. They may sense emotional changes, remember each other at unexpected moments, or feel deeply connected through shared experiences and powerful emotions. Whether you view this connection spiritually, emotionally, or psychologically, one truth remains important. The deepest relationships are built through awareness, authenticity, respect, and love. But many people make a mistake when they desire a deeper connection. They become obsessed with signs. They analyze every message, every silence, every dream, and every coincidence. They begin asking, are they thinking about me? Can they feel me? What should I do to make them come closer? And in searching so desperately for answers, they often lose connection with the one person whose inner world they can truly understand and guide themselves. The secret art of connection begins when you become still. It begins when you stop chasing every external sign and start listening to what is happening within you. Your thoughts shape your emotions. Your emotions influence your actions. Your actions affect the relationships you create. When your inner world is filled with fear, you may interpret silence as rejection. When your inner world is filled with insecurity, you may search endlessly for proof that you are loved. But when you develop peace within yourself, you can approach love from a completely different place. Imagine no longer needing to force anything. Imagine releasing the constant pressure to know what another person is thinking. Imagine allowing yourself to feel love without losing your identity, hope without becoming desperate, and connection without abandoning your own peace. This is where something truly powerful begins. You become more present. You become more emotionally aware. You communicate more honestly. You recognize the difference between intuition and fear, between genuine connection and imagination, between love and attachment. Perhaps the invisible bond you seek is not strengthened by trying harder to reach someone through your thoughts. Perhaps it is strengthened by becoming emotionally clear enough to recognize a real connection when it exists. Love becomes more beautiful when it is freely given. Connection becomes deeper when both people are allowed to remain whole individuals. And the heart becomes wiser when it learns that distance, silence, and uncertainty do not have to destroy inner peace. So, as we begin this journey into the secret art of telepathic connection between soulmates, leave behind the need to control the outcome. Let go of desperation. Release the exhausting search for constant proof. Open your mind to possibility but remain grounded in truth. Listen deeply to your heart, honor your intuition, respect the freedom of others, and remember that the most powerful energy you can bring into any relationship is the energy of a peaceful, confident, and loving version of yourself. Because before two hearts can truly connect in a meaningful way, you must first learn to hear your own. The most fascinating connections in life are often the ones we cannot easily explain. There are people who enter your life and somehow feel familiar, even when you have only known them for a short time. There are moments when a person's name suddenly enters your mind, when an old memory rises without warning, or when you feel an emotional pull towards someone you deeply care about. Many people describe these experiences as an invisible bond between souls. Yet the secret to understanding any powerful connection does not begin by searching outside yourself for signs. It begins within. Before you can understand the depth of your connection with another person, you must become aware of your own thoughts, emotions, desires, fears, and expectations. The inner world you carry becomes the lens through which you experience every relationship. If you are filled with fear, you may see distance everywhere. If you are filled with doubt, you may question even the love that is freely given. But when you develop inner peace, emotional awareness, and self-respect, you become capable of experiencing connection without losing yourself inside it. The invisible bond begins when you understand that love is not only something you receive from another person, it is also something you learn to cultivate within your own heart. You may deeply care for someone and still remain whole. You may miss someone and still enjoy your own life. You may hope for a relationship while refusing to abandon your peace in the process. This inner balance is powerful because it changes the energy you bring into every interaction. Instead of approaching someone from desperation, you approach them from fullness. Instead of silently demanding proof that you matter, you remember your own value. Instead of trying to control what another person feels, you become honest about what you feel and allow reality to reveal itself naturally. A meaningful soulmate connection, whether you understand it spiritually or emotionally, should never require you to disappear. The strongest bonds do not erase individuality. They allow two people to grow while remaining true to themselves. This is why your relationship with yourself is so important. When you know who you are less likely to mistake obsession for love. When you respect yourself, you are less likely to accept confusion as commitment. When you understand your emotions, you are better able to separate genuine intuition from anxiety and wishful thinking. Sometimes what we call a mysterious connection is strengthened simply because two people have shared deep experiences, developed strong emotional memories, and learned to understand one another in subtle ways. Human beings are remarkably sensitive to patterns, tone, expressions, routines, and emotional changes. A person who knows you deeply may sense when something is wrong before you explain it. You may remember them during an important moment because your mind connects that person with powerful emotions. These experiences can feel extraordinary and they can be meaningful without requiring you to surrender your judgment or ignore reality. The real art is learning to appreciate mystery while staying grounded. You do not have to prove every feeling. You do not have to turn every coincidence into a message. You can simply acknowledge that a connection matters to you and then choose to live with awareness. The deeper question is not always, are they thinking about me? The deeper question is, who am I becoming while I think about them? Are your thoughts making you more peaceful or more anxious? Are they inspiring you to grow or causing you to lose yourself? True connection should invite you closer to your best self, not further away from it. So if there is an invisible thread between two hearts, let that thread remind you first to return home to yourself. Become still enough to understand your emotions. Become strong enough to respect another person's freedom. Become loving enough to care without controlling. And become confident enough to know that the right connection will never require you to sacrifice your identity to keep it. The invisible bond begins within, because every experience of love is first experienced through your own consciousness. When your inner world becomes clearer, calmer, and more loving, you become better prepared to recognize genuine connection, not through fear, but through wisdom, presence, and a heart that knows how to love without losing itself. Every connection you experience is influenced by the inner conversation you carry with yourself. Before you speak to another person, you have already spoken to yourself thousands of times. You have formed opinions about who you are, what you deserve, whether you are lovable, and what you expect from the people around you. These thoughts become emotional patterns, and those emotional patterns influence the way you communicate, react, trust, and connect. This is why the secret of a powerful soulmate connection does not begin with trying to enter another person's mind. It begins with becoming aware of what is happening inside your own. The thoughts you repeatedly entertain can either create peace or create fear. If you constantly tell yourself that someone will forget you, you may become anxious and search for reassurance in every small interaction. If you repeatedly imagine rejection, you may begin acting defensively before anything has actually happened. But when you learn to choose thoughts that support your peace, confidence, and emotional stability, your entire experience of love can begin to change. This does not mean pretending that reality is different or forcing another person to feel something they do not feel. It means taking responsibility for the mental atmosphere you live in every day. Your mind is the place where you interpret silence, distance, affection, and uncertainty. Two people can experience the exact same situation and give it completely different meanings. One person may see a delayed message and immediately assume rejection. Another may remain calm and recognize that there could be countless explanations. The difference is often found in the thoughts they have practiced over time. Your thoughts influence your emotional energy, and your emotional energy influences how you show up in relationships. When you feel secure, you communicate differently. When you feel worthy, you stop begging for proof. When you believe your life has value beyond one relationship, you become less controlled by fear. This inner freedom can create healthier space for genuine connection to grow. Many people searching for telepathic connection spend so much time wondering what another person is thinking that they forget to ask what their own mind is constantly repeating. Yet your own thoughts are the most important messages you can learn to hear. Are you constantly criticizing yourself? Are you imagining the worst? Are you replaying painful memories and expecting them to repeat? Or are you consciously creating a more pukum inner environment? The mind becomes familiar with whatever you repeatedly practice. When you practice fear, fear becomes automatic. When you practice confidence, confidence becomes easier to access. When you practice gratitude and emotional balance, you become more capable of seeing situations clearly. This is where the true power of conscious thought begins. You cannot always control what happens around you, and you cannot control another person's heart, choices, or private thoughts. But you can choose the story you continue to tell of about your own worth. You can choose whether to spend every day trapped in imagined conversations or present in your actual life. You can choose whether your attention becomes a prison or a source of personal strength. The healthiest form of connection is never built on mental obsession. It is built on awareness. Think of the person you care about with kindness if you choose, but do not allow thoughts about them to replace your own identity. Wish them well, but remember to wish yourself well too. Hope for beautiful possibilities, but remain open to reality. A soulmate connection should not require endless anxiety to maintain. Real emotional closeness is strengthened through honesty, mutual respect, communication, and shared experience. Your thoughts can help prepare you for these things by shaping the person you become. So begin paying attention to your inner voice. Replace the question, how can I make them think about me, with something far more powerful. What kind of thoughts help me become peaceful, loving, and emotionally strong? When you change the quality of your inner world, you change the way you experience every relationship. You become less desperate for signs and more present in reality. You become less afraid of being forgotten and more aware of your own value. And perhaps that is the greatest secret of all. The energy you carry is not determined only by what another person gives you. It is deeply influenced by the thoughts you choose to nurture. Guard them carefully, guide them wisely, and let your inner conversation become a place where love begins with peace. In a world filled with constant noise, messages, opinions, notifications, and endless distractions, one of the most powerful abilities you can develop is the ability to become still enough to hear yourself. This is especially important when you feel deeply connected to another person. Many people believe that a soulmate connection can be recognized through an inner knowing, a subtle feeling that cannot always be explained by logic alone. You may suddenly remember someone at an unexpected moment, feel emotionally affected by a familiar memory, or experience a strong sense that a relationship has changed. These experiences can feel meaningful, but the true secret is learning how to listen without immediately turning every feeling into absolute certainty. Intuition can be valuable, yet fear, desire, loneliness, and imagination can also create powerful feelings. The art is developing enough inner calm to recognize the difference. Intuition usually does not need to scream. It often appears as a quiet awareness, a gentle sense of clarity, or a feeling that encourages you to pay attention without forcing you into panic. Fear, on the other hand, tends to create urgency. It tells you that you must know everything immediately. It pushes you to search for signs, analyze every detail, and demand certainty where certainty may not yet exist. When you are emotionally attached to someone, this difference becomes especially important. You may feel a strong pull toward them, but instead of immediately assuming you know what they are thinking, pause and ask yourself, what is actually happening within you? Are you feeling calm or are you feeling anxious? Are you responding to the present moment or are you reacting to an old wound? Are you noticing genuine patterns or are you searching desperately for evidence that supports what you want to believe? These questions do not destroy spiritual or emotional mystery. They help you approach it with wisdom. A deep connection should not require you to abandon critical thinking. You can remain open to mystery while also respecting reality. Silence gives you the space to do this. When you stop constantly checking for messages, predicting outcomes, or imagining conversations, your mind has an opportunity to settle. In that stillness, you may discover that what you thought was intuition was actually fear of losing someone. Or you may realize that beneath all your anxiety, you already know what you need to do. Communicate honestly, set a boundary, be patient, or let go of what is causing pain. Sometimes the greatest message you receive is not about another person at all. Sometimes silence reveals something about you. It may reveal how deeply you want to be loved, how afraid you are of rejection, or how much of your peace you have placed in another person's hands. These discoveries can be uncomfortable, but they are also liberating. When you understand yourself, you become less dependent on guessing what another person feels. You begin to trust your ability to handle whatever truth emerges. This creates emotional strength, and emotional strength allows connection to become healthier. If you genuinely care for someone, you do not need to invade their privacy, control their choices, or convince yourself that you can always know what is happening inside them. Love includes respect for another person's inner world. Even the closest partners cannot read every thought perfectly, which is why honest communication remains so important. Intuition may encourage you to ask a caring question, but communication gives the other person the freedom to answer. A feeling may inspire you to reach out, but respect allows you to accept whatever response you receive. This balance between inner awareness and external reality is where maturity begins. So when you feel a powerful connection, do not rush to define it. Sit with it, breathe. Allow your emotions to settle. Notice what remains after fear becomes quiet. The more peaceful your inner world becomes, the easier it is to recognize what truly serves you. You may discover that your strongest connection is not created by chasing mysterious signs, but by becoming deeply present. In silence, you learn that you do not need every answer today. You learn that uncertainty can exist without destroying your peace. And you learn that the most trustworthy inner voice is not the one that fills you with obsession and panic, but the one that gently leads you toward clarity, self-respect, compassion, and truth. Intuition speaks in silence because wisdom does not always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it simply asks you to become still enough to hear what your heart has been trying to tell you all along. One of the greatest lessons in love is learning that a real connection cannot be forced. No matter how deeply you care for someone, you cannot control their thoughts, feelings, decisions, timing, or journey. Yet many people spend enormous amounts of emotional energy trying to do exactly that. They search for the perfect technique, the perfect words, the perfect sign, or the perfect moment that will guarantee another person will come closer. They replay conversations in their minds, imagine what the other person is doing, and constantly ask whether they are being remembered. But the more tightly they try to hold the connection, the more they often lose their own peace. The secret art of a meaningful soulmate connection may not be found in holding on harder. Sometimes it is found in learning how to release control without releasing love. Letting go does not mean that you stop caring. It does not mean that your feelings suddenly disappear or that you must pretend someone was never important to you. Letting go means releasing the exhausting belief that you are responsible for controlling the outcome. You can love someone without demanding that they follow your timeline. You can hope for reconciliation without abandoning your dignity. You can desire closeness without making another person's choices the measure of your worth. This is where emotional freedom begins. When you stop trying to control every detail, you create space for reality to reveal itself. You no longer need to constantly interpret silence. You no longer need to force a meaning onto every coincidence. Instead, you become present enough to observe what is actually happening. If someone genuinely wants to be part of your life, their actions will eventually reveal that desire. If they are uncertain, their uncertainty also tells you something important. Truth may not always be comfortable, but it is far more valuable than remaining trapped in endless assumptions. A healthy connection requires freedom because love without freedom can easily become fear disguised as devotion. Real love allows another person to be themselves. It respects boundaries, differences, personal growth, and individual choices. This does not mean accepting poor treatment or remaining in situations that repeatedly harm you. In fact, letting go of control often helps you recognize when you need stronger boundaries. When you are no longer obsessed with keeping someone, you can finally ask whether the relationship is truly healthy for you. You can ask whether you feel respected, safe, valued, and emotionally understood. You can stop sacrificing your peace simply to maintain a connection that exists mostly in your imagination. This is a powerful transformation because it returns you to your own center. Many people fear letting go because they believe that if they stop thinking about someone, stop checking for signs, or stop trying to influence the situation, the connection will disappear. But what is truly meant to grow through honest communication, mutual care, and shared effort does not require constant mental pressure to survive. In fact, relationships often become healthier when both people are given room to breathe. Space can reveal whether affection is genuine. Silence can reveal what words have hidden. Time can show whether intentions are consistent. You do not have to chase every answer. Sometimes, patience gives you the clarity that anxiety never could. Letting go also means releasing the fantasy of perfect certainty. You may never know exactly what another thinks at every moment, and that is okay. Even deeply connected people remain separate individuals with private thoughts and experiences. The purpose of love is not to erase that separation, but to build a bridge across it through trust, communication, kindness, and respect. If you feel a special spiritual or emotional connection with someone, allow that feeling to inspire you toward growth rather than obsession. Let it encourage you to become calmer, more honest, and more emotionally mature. The greatest paradox is that when you stop trying to control another person's heart, you become more capable of protecting your own. You stop begging for what should be freely given. You stop chasing what consistently runs away. You stop confusing anxiety with destiny. And you begin to understand that your life is still meaningful, even while the future remains uncertain. So release the need to force the message, predict the outcome, or possess the person you love. Choose peace over panic. Choose self-respect over obsession. Choose honest reality over imagined certainty. If a connection is genuine, it deserves the freedom to reveal itself naturally. And if something is not meant to continue, letting go creates space for healing and new possibilities. The deepest connections are not strengthened by control. They are strengthened by trust, truth, and the courage to love without losing yourself. The final secret of a deep and meaningful soulmate connection is understanding that the love you seek outside yourself should first become something you are willing to cultivate within. Many people spend years searching for the perfect person, hoping someone will finally make them feel worthy, secure, understood, and complete. They imagine that when the right person arrives, all doubt will disappear and every emotional wound will suddenly heal. But no relationship, no matter how beautiful, can permanently carry the responsibility of giving you an identity you have never learned to give yourself. Another person can support your happiness, but they cannot become the sole source of it. Another person can love you deeply, but their love becomes difficult to receive if you have already convinced yourself that you are unworthy of being loved. This is why the journey toward meaningful connection begins with the relationship you have with yourself. To become the love you wish to experience means learning to treat yourself with the same patience, kindness, loyalty, and respect you desire from another person. It means speaking to yourself with compassion instead of constantly repeating criticism. It means honoring your own needs instead of believing that self-sacrifice is the price of love. It means remembering that you do not have to become smaller, quieter, or less authentic just to keep someone's attention. When you begin to value yourself, your entire approach to relationships can change. You stop seeing love as something you must chase because you are afraid of being alone. Instead, you begin to see love as something you can share from a place of inner strength. This does not mean becoming emotionally distant or pretending that you do not need anyone. Human beings naturally desire connection, affection, and belonging. The goal is not independence at the cost of intimacy. The goal is interdependence without losing your identity. A healthy soulmate connection allows two people to support one another while still respecting each other's individuality. You can love deeply without making another person's mood the center of your entire world. You can miss someone without forgetting your own dreams. You can desire a future with someone while continuing to build a meaningful life today. This inner stability is one of the greatest gifts you can bring into any relationship. When you become the love you wish to experience, you also become more aware of what genuine love looks like. You are less likely to confuse mixed signals with mystery or emotional unavailability with destiny. You begin to recognize that love should not constantly leave you questioning your value. Real relationships can certainly include challenges, misunderstandings, and periods of uncertainty, but healthy love should also include mutual effort, respect, honesty, and care. You deserve relationships where your voice matters and your boundaries are respected. The more you honor yourself, the easier it becomes to recognize when someone else honors you too. This is also where the idea of telepathic or invisible connection takes on a deeper meaning. Perhaps the strongest connection is not about trying to send thoughts into another person's mind. Perhaps it is about becoming so emotionally aware that you can communicate with greater honesty and presence. Perhaps the deepest bond grows when you stop trying to force another person to complete you and instead allow two whole individuals to meet with openness. When you feel secure within yourself, you no longer need every moment to prove that love exists. You can appreciate affection when it is present without panicking when space is needed. You can communicate directly instead of endlessly guessing. You can listen instead of assuming. You can love someone while also accepting that their freedom matters. Becoming the love you wish to experience is therefore not a selfish act. It is a foundation for healthier love. The more peace you cultivate within, the less likely you are to demand that another person constantly rescue you from your fears. The more confident you become, the less you need to manipulate outcomes. The more you respect yourself, the more courage you have to walk away from situations that repeatedly diminish you. And the more compassion you develop, the more capable you become of loving without controlling. So ask yourself today, what kind of love am I waiting to receive? Is it patient? Then practice patience with yourself. Is it loyal? Keep the promises you make to yourself. Is it kind? Change the way you speak to your own heart. Is it secure? Build a life that reminds you that your worth is not dependent on another person's attention. When you become the qualities you seek, you do not become less open to love. You become more prepared for it. The right connection can then add beauty to your life rather than becoming the only thing that gives your life meaning. And perhaps that is the most powerful secret of all. When you learn to become a safe and loving home for yourself, you are finally free to connect with another person not through desperation, but through choice, truth, respect, and a love that allows both souls to grow.